Holy cow, we are ready for a great Facebook Live today. Verl Workman here with my amazing guest, the unstoppable Christy Buck. Christy, welcome to our Facebook Live today. We're going to give everybody just a minute to join the call as they come on in, but welcome.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Well, I'm excited to have you. You know, there's a lot of people that when we do an interview like this, I have to send them a copy of questions. We have to get deep into, you know, their life story, but I know your life story pretty well. And ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who've not met Christy Buck and don't know who Christy is, let me just tell you, she is one of the coolest people in my life. I met Christy in 2012 when she was sitting at a conference on the front row when I got done, and she says, I think I need you to be my coach. And from then, from that very first interaction, she had the energy of someone that I knew I wanted to be associated with. And it's been just tremendous to watch her grow, not only as a team leader, but as a mom and as an individual. And so, Christy, congratulations on all your success. For those of you that are just coming on to the call, please say hello to Christy. Let us know who you are and where you're from. Bob Sokoler says hello, Christy.
Hi, Bob.
And we'll have more people as they come on to the call. We'll make sure that we introduce them and say hello to everybody. So Christy, give us a little bit of background. Tell us where, of course, where's home for you, and give us a little bit of a snapshot personally. Tell me about your family.
Okay, a little snapshot of Christy Buck is I am from Pearland, Texas. My office is still in Pearland on the border of Pearland and Friendswood. However, we service all of Houston, the entire Houston area. I have two boys that I'm super proud of. They are 21 and 24, both officially in their chosen careers. One of them getting married in October, and the other one started his big boy job. I call it his big boy job yesterday. So,
what's his big boy job? I thought he was a professional motorcycle racer.
Yeah, well, but that doesn't pay enough. So he is, he's an I&E technician. So instrumentation and electrician, chemical plants. We're in Houston, Texas.
Good for them. Good for both. You know, it's fun to watch your boys grow. When I first met you, they're both in high school and playing high school sports and dating high school girls. And now they're growing up. One's getting married. It's fun to see that. It's fun to see them growing. I bet you're excited to see your boys moving on to the next phase in their lives.
I know. I'm ready for those grandbabies. Well,
so Samantha says hello, and so does Shelly Cantor and Shiloh. You got a lot of fans on here, Christy, saying hello. So one of them just commented on your beautiful smile and said, thanks for sharing that. Thanks for sharing that with us. Tell us a little bit about your real estate business. You have a real estate team in Friendswood in Pearland, Texas. Tell us about your team.
So our team started out with just me and Samantha in 2012 when I met you out of my house, a little study in my house. And we were pretty consistent doing our 50 to 70 transactions a year. And now we have 28 people on the team, and we have a phenomenal team. We have just an amazing team, and we went from doing about 50 transactions a year to right under 500, right about 500. So we have lots of buyer's agents, support staff, 2 listing partners, needing more listing partners. So we have a great growing team. So with Verl's advice, we built our own building, and now we have plenty of space to hold all these people.
Yeah, it's funny is we both expanded our offices right before COVID-19 hit, and then all of a sudden we have these big spaces and nobody coming in. Wasn't that a weird feeling?
It was. It was really weird.
I love that your people are on the call. Paula says, best boss ever.
Oh.
So fun. So Christy, you talk about your transaction volume and production and things like that, which is impressive. But I think what's more impressive about you is that is the genuine nature of who you are as a leader. Tell me about your leadership style. I mean, when you get up in the morning, you think of all these people that work for you now. How do you interact with them? What's your leadership style?
Well, I hope that it's very intentional, and as we get bigger, it's much harder to be as intentional as you want to be with every single person on the team, because they're so like family to me, and it's important for me to maintain the culture that we maintain, and we are truly a family outside of our family. But one of my goals this year was to have more one-on-one time with each newer agent, take them to lunch and make sure that I'm spending enough time, because one agent brought it to my attention that I hadn't spent a lot of time with them. So, and I already knew that, but we were in survival mode with different, we do so many client events and things like that when we hired them. So I'm taking the whole team to Florida in 2 weeks. So I'm hoping that provides me, we're celebrating how well we did through COVID. So I hope that provides me some time to just spend with everybody, 4 days in Florida with everybody, but 4 people are going. So hopefully that provides, but we just have a very close-knit team and a great culture.
Okay. So you're going to go to Florida. Is it going to be 4 days of intense training?
No.
What are you going to do?
We're going to just celebrate their successes. And I just want them all to relax and enjoy. They work 7 days a week, hours. Well, we try to get them not to work 7 days a week, but they work a lot, like all realtors. So just treating them to a day at Crab Island and, just a nice, big, huge beach house for 24 people. And we're just going to treat them to 4 days of relaxing and have fun and network and get to know each other on a personal level more than we already do. But, we have a lot of new people in the last year or so. Just spend good quality time together.
So in your team, as you've grown, this is a random question. I just thought about it while you were talking. There's a lot of people that'll watch this over the next few days. What are some of the mistakes that you've made in growing your team that, knowing what you know now, you would do differently?
So we've made plenty of mistakes growing our team. But one, I would say, of the biggest mistakes that we made was lack of agent development, and realizing that a couple of years ago as we hired and grew the team, how much team leaders take for granted that agents know what we know because we've done it so long and it's so second nature. So backtracking and really developing and helping them develop into what we think that they automatically are. And by doing that, pairing them up with more seasoned agents, shadowing, building a very intentional plan on how to get them developed as agents. Because I tried in the beginning to just do it all because I wanted to do it all. Let me help them. And it's impossible to do it all. So pairing them up with good seasoned agents and then rotating them through different agents, because every agent has their own style, and letting them pick up who they are. So that's one of many mistakes. Keeping somebody that doesn't fit our culture way too long over fear and not faith, because they may be a big producer, but they don't fit your culture. So that was probably the biggest mistake I've made, even over agent development, because quality is more important to me than quantity. So definitely keeping someone too long, and then learning how to hire the right people in the right seats. Because I think when we're just a busy agent, it takes too much time to train. So when you hire the wrong person, then you don't want to start over training again. It's just easier to do it yourself. So really taking a deep dive into what position are we hiring for, and then what qualities do they need, and learning how to hire. So I could go on with mistakes we've made, but those are the things.
I've been right there with you, coaching you through those mistakes. We've made them together. When you talked about agent development, I want to spend a minute on that for a second, because just because they have a good disc profile and they interview well doesn't mean they know anything about showing a house, does it?
No.
So what was your discovery moment? What happened when you really discovered that your agents were under-trained, and then what was the action you took?
So what happened was you sent your son-in-law here for me to help him, because we understood that he was getting the appointments out in the field, but then not hearing from the client again. So really understanding where your agents are breaking down, whether that be on the phone, they're not getting the face-to-face, or they're getting face-to-face and not hearing from them again, whether it's through, there's so many different steps. So really taking a deep dive into where is the breakdown for that particular agent. So bringing Danny here, and then 3 or 4 of my newer agents wanted to hop in the car because I told Danny, schedule, we're going to schedule 3 or 4 appointments and you're going to show me the house. Okay. Because I want to give you dialogue and pushback and questions and see how you answer them, because you're losing them in the field. So when all my agents hopped in the car and we all went to a showing, and I told my agents, just step aside and let me and Danny do this. And immediately, just getting through the front door, I just called it off because it was already not going well. And I said, okay, let me show you first, because you don't want to humiliate anybody. What I realized is my agents were asking questions that I was just shocked that they didn't know. When I was showing him, like, this is how you know the house has had foundation repair, see these patches outside, 2 of my agents said, oh, really? And at that moment, I was like, oh my goodness, my agents don't know what this looks like. Or, there were several scenarios that when we went through those 4 houses that day, that I realized that I had not even developed my agents. So quickly that became a priority.
So I think that's awesome. And you didn't look at that as oh my gosh, I failed. You just took the bull by the horns and created a program.
Yep.
It's been fun. And by the way, Danny's doing great. And the time he spent with you's made all the difference in the world, and his ability to go out there and convert. And it's been fun to watch him grow. And so thank you for spending that time with him. I think everybody wishes they could send their people to be trained by Christy Buck.
Well, thank you. Hey, my people needed it just as much as Danny. We just, thank goodness Danny was the tool to open that, for me to make me pay attention that we had lots of work to do in our own office.
Yeah, I love it. As I'm talking to Christy, as you come onto the Facebook Live, I encourage you to go in and ask questions or like comments. Let us know that you're here. And if you have a question for Christy, I'm going to pause while we're talking and make sure I do my best to ask Christy anything. Christy said before the call today, she said, you know what, bring it, Verl. There's no question I'm afraid to answer. You just bring it up. And so if you have hard questions for Christy, go ahead and ask him and we'll talk about it. Whether it's lead generation or lead distribution or keeping things fair, there's so many things that you've had to deal with in your business. When you think about so a lot of the workman success tools and systems have been developed while we've been coaching you. So we'll share with something to you. And then of course, your amazing Samantha takes and makes it better. And then we go back and share it with everybody else. When you look at all the tools and resources, why is it important to you to have the systems that you use in running your team today? And what are the ones that have made the biggest impact?
Oh my, it's important because you can't grow without systems. When we got into coaching, we had absolutely no systems, no processes, not a good CRM, no tracking of our leads, no tracking on where we were spending our dollars, what the best return on we knew where we were spending them, but not what was working. So getting all of those systems and processes in place was huge because it allowed us to increase the volume that we did when we had a system. Instead of going home at night, texting me and Samantha, did you do this? Did you do that? We're just working off of flying by the seat of our pants instead of an actual action plan that we're checking off the action so that when we're not here, we're not thinking about it because we know that we applied an action plan and it got done. Tracking leads was huge. We had leads like I would say most agents have them on a Post-it note, on a spiral, on a napkin. So when we learned to actually track every single lead, enter it into one place, note where it came from, that solved so many problems as far as lead follow-up, higher level of conversion, where it came from, where we now need to invest our dollars for next year, what's working, what's not working. So systems, processes, how to hire, how to train, letting go, how to delegate. And I'll always say when you want to grow or you're growing your team, the number one hire, or when you go into coaching, and you and I talked about this a few months ago, that I feel like even in coaching, the number one thing you have to have is a strong admin sitting beside you.
Oh my gosh, critical.
Right. So
we have a bunch of questions. You spurred a whole bunch of questions with that. dialogue on systems, but there's a couple that kind of follow the same thread. And so this is Miss Greer. She says, what daily activities do you have your newer agents focus on? And are they different than what your experienced agents focus on? And how do you track?
Okay, so that's lots of answers to that question, right? We all do the same thing as far as meet every day for huddle. During COVID, we did it remotely. We're back to doing it in the office. So we meet every day for huddle. Whether you're experienced or not experienced, we still want their daily success habits put into Workbench, which is, if y'all aren't part of Workman, it's all the tools that we get through Workman Success. So they all have their daily success habits, whether they're new, whether they have 5 pending, 10 pending, it doesn't matter. Because we have to stay consistent to not have the peaks and the valleys in real estate, right? If you get 8 pending and then you stop prospecting, stop sending out your note cards, stop doing the things that we know work, then we're going to have a valley. We're not going to stay consistent. So now, if you are a more seasoned agent producing well, then we'll have people help you with some of those things, like help you put your numbers in Workbench, help you. But we're consistent with everybody pretty much doing the same daily activities. However, if they're brand new agents and they're not producing, then we're doing more one-on-one with them, more training with them, more what to be intentional with, how to go into Boomtown, see who was on yesterday, offer them something of value to try to convert them into a client. So that was a yes and no, right? Yes, we all do the same thing, but some of what we do after huddle and after our regular structure, after that's over, our activities may be different with the people that need more help.
So, that's one consistent is that 61 points of rhythm, the 61 points doing dollar productive activities every day that everybody does. And it's really interesting when we go back and look at your history, you can always see when there's a dip. If we go 90 days before that, the agents weren't doing their daily success habits. They weren't doing the 61 points.
That's
and
right.
It's not like rocket science. It's so clear.
Yeah. And then the ones that they are doing 61 points, and like if 2 or 3 are doing 61 points and some of them have pending, some of them don't, we can also go back and see that one's sending too many emails while the other one's making phone calls. We can see what their activities are, how they're different during their prospecting time, to see this is why this one possibly is working and this isn't, because you're just relying on standard blasts or not picking up the phone and making the connection and making the phone call. So there's lots of reasons we track what we track.
A lot of people think that if I have to track all of that, then I'm babysitting my agents. Is that your approach to accountability, is you have to babysit them?
Absolutely not. No, we don't want to babysit them. We want to help them be successful. We want to help them reach their goals. When we do our vision boards in November for the following year, it truly makes me happier to see somebody reach their personal goals than it probably makes them. Like when I see them get to buy the house that they had on their 3-year plan, and like Shelly bought it in 1 year. When she said, "Oh, that's my 3-year plan to buy a home." And I said, "Why 3? Why not 1?" And she bought a house within 6 months after I took her in my office after that and said, "Let's make that happen now. Why is that so far out?" Well, for her, she just didn't think, so when I see them putting pulls in and doing the things on their vision board, it just fills my heart. Because I know it's because we tracked these activities and we made sure that we helped them get their goals met.
Yeah, for everybody watching this, I hope that you're recognizing the attributes of a great leader, because what a great leader does is helps their people become successful. And Christy, that's what you're describing right here. You get everything you want. Like your business is great. You sell plenty of things, but the way you get it is by helping your people be successful. It's not about your goals. It's about theirs.
Right. And I don't even think of it that way. Like if they meet theirs, I'll meet mine. I just think of just how happy it makes me to meet theirs. And then yes, yours get there by default, but it's super exciting to see all them accomplish what they want to.
So Amanda had a question for you. Her question was that, this is actually 2 questions, but it's, what's the biggest thing team leaders miss in training their agents? Is it training or is it accountability that they miss? What's the bigger thing they miss?
Probably accountability. What do you think?
Yeah, I know. It's interesting. I think that I don't think one is exclusive of the other. I think that accountability is creating an environment where they choose accountability. It's not something you do to them, and that without training, accountability has no value. And so, if you don't give them the resources or teach them how to be great, you can't hold them accountable to be great. I really believe this, and that is, if your agents aren't performing, it's not their fault. It's yours as a leader. It's because you're not developing them. Every once in a while you get someone who's just not a good fit. They should do something else. But for the most part, you're hiring, like nobody comes to work every day and hopes they fail. And so if they're failing, it's because we're not helping them.
Right. And I think if you're holding them accountable, you're going to see, first hold them accountable. You're going to see where the gaps are to train to them.
And so that great answer. So Diane asked this question, and Diane's question is a great question. And it's very different than how you would have answered it in 2012. When I asked Christy where her leads came in 2012, she gave me a one-word answer. What was the word?
Marketing.
Yes, all my leads come from all my marketing. And so now today, what do you use for lead generation, and how do you know what works?
So because we use for lead generation several things, but we track it. So that's how we know what works. We have Zillow, we have Boomtown, we have 11 company cars that are wrapped. We have billboards, we have is it ProQuest now? The call capture. We have lots of lead sources. Of course, referral, work our sphere very intentionally, our past clients. So probably the same as everybody, but we're just super intentional.
Yeah. So, and it's not, you don't have the same things as everybody. You have the ones that work. And so if it doesn't work, do you keep it?
No.
What's your rule of thumb? How do you determine whether or not it works?
7 times 7.
Wait, you asking me?
Yeah, I am asking you. Isn't that what you do? Well, you go over it with me at the end of every year. So I believe it's 7 times the return on investment.
6, but 7's fine.
Okay.
You get more than most. We look at conversion rates and what the spend is and what the contribution from your vendor partners are. And so we look at what your real spend is versus what the return is. And our rule of thumb is 6x.
Okay. Yes. So I was a little
so 6, 7, if you're in that range, then you should keep it. April asked a great question. She said, first that was a comment saying, you've always been such a creative marketer. What have you changed during COVID-19 in your marketing, and how have you, adapted your marketing strategy to keep people, transacting during COVID?
So we like to run a lot of games and contests amongst our agents, because I don't want to lead with dictatorship and you have to do so many virtual open houses, or you have to do. So we put contests through COVID saying whoever could do the most open houses virtually, showing homes virtually. We're doing listing appointments virtually, doing even buyer showings virtually, narrowing it down to what they really like after our agent does the virtual showing, and then take them back in person once it's one of their final contenders. So doing a lot of things virtually, offering first-time home buyers, live. So basically going to a virtual world and offering those services virtually, letting everybody know how many sold this week in all of HAR, how many we pended in HAR, so that they see that people are still moving rather than sitting paralyzed.
How many transactions do you have pending right now?
53, 53, 56.
More in a world where a lot of people have taken their foot off the gas and they've decided that they have to withdraw from real estate because everyone's afraid, you took a different approach.
Right. Yeah. So we put a lot of contests, pushed everybody, because I think everybody just wanted to go home and wait.
Yep.
And interest rates were too good. There were still too many things happening for us to just go home and hide. Last year we closed 30 in April, this year 33. So, that was pretty amazing. That's why I'm taking everybody to Florida for 4 days is to celebrate not just that we almost hit our goal of, in 2019, but that they did so amazing in COVID. With just getting out here and hustling and working, and the ones that had extenuating circumstances like asthma and things at home, they worked the pipeline while other agents would go show for them, and we just worked together great as a team. So
how exciting is that? And Christy, you got to stop telling people all the fun stuff you do. I have people from my team on Facebook Live saying we need a joint event in Florida.
Come on.
They're ready to come join you. Deborah wants to know how you would deal with a burned out agent who just feels overwhelmed with all this activity. How do you keep them fresh and engaged and going?
Support them. If they're a high producer, that's what I've always been taught by you, is support them. If they're burned out, a high producer, either, take care of them and cover them while they take a couple of weeks off and rejuvenate and get ready to go again, and surround them with people. Like one of our top producers, I've hired her very own assistant. It comes with, guidelines, right? They have to produce more than what she produced last year at a certain level, but they're killing it. Once I hired Melanie, her own assistant, and I want to take all that off Melanie, appointments and feedback and all those things that just take time. So Katie just takes care of her now, and they have this massive, they have their own goal going on in their office now. We have to have 10 under contract within 10 days. And, so they're doing amazing things. So support them.
What I love is that you're not afraid to let them grow within your team.
Absolutely not. They deserve the support.
Deborah says, thank you for that answer. So Sarah Goldie has a comment and a question for you. First, I'll give you the comment. She says, I missed the Florida announcement. When and where should I meet you? And the second, she'll give you the details offline. And her question is, what's been the big game changer for you as far as hiring talented people?
As far as how to hire them?
Yeah. What she says was, what's the game changer for you as far as hiring agents? And so you've got a lot of agents, you've had good hiring processes and bad hiring processes. What has made the biggest impact? I think the last time you did a agile, you needed to hire 9 agents in 30 days, right? On that list of the things that you did to hire those 9 agents, what was it you had to do? What was the thing that stood out as, hey, that worked?
I didn't do it. Samantha and Jordan do that. So, we have Agile we can share with everybody. Sarah, we'll send you that Agile on what they did. But what I would say, and I won't say we won't hire brand new people, but it's so much easier if we can find somebody that's already licensed, that knows the basic systems like RMLS, DocuSign, Zip forms. Like just that is huge if we can get somebody, when we go into our MLS to hire somebody that works in our area that did 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 last year. So that they already know the very basics, and then we can train, we can give them the sky's the limit with leads and help train them. But when they're green getting their license, it's a struggle.
It's a lot more work, isn't it?
A lot more work.
So do you have a profile of an ideal agent? If there's a lot of people that it looks like they have interest in hiring and upgrading their teams right now. What's your profile? What do you look for?
So if we can find them with experience that aren't, again, huge producers, that's a huge help. But on the disc, a high I and some D. I think is important on our disc when we do I used to think the D wasn't as important, but my agents that don't have a lot of D, they just don't close the deal as much out in the field that do have a little more D. So definitely the I and the D on the disc. And agents that have buy-in to what we believe in with our culture and our workman success systems and processes and all of that. So I think that's very important that we have buy-in for the level that of accountability and systems and processes and everything we have.
And where do you set that? Do you wait till you hire them to tell them how hard it's going to be?
Oh, no. We tell them all of it up front before they ever, I mean, we probably over tell them how much accountability it is, because we don't want to waste our time if they don't want that level of accountability. Actually, Caitlin, one of our newer agents, sent a text the other night because she pushed back. She wasn't at huddles. She was an agent that came from doing everything on her own. And I was getting a little frustrated, but I knew she had the talent. When she gets out there, she closes deals. She sent me a long text 2 or 3 nights ago telling me, thank you for continuing to push me. You've sparked a fire in me. You've showed me things that I didn't know I could do. So she'll tell you her hardest thing coming here was the accountability. But now 6 months later, she's so appreciative, and she's one of our top producers, and she's a new agent.
Isn't that fun?
It is fun. It's exciting.
I love that. All right. So Christy, so I was just doing the math on my fingers, and you started working with me in 2012. So how many years is that? Is that like 8 years?
7. Yeah.
So I think it's time you kick your coach down the road. Why do you still have a coach? I mean, how does somebody continue to add value after that many years of coaching?
Oh my gosh, because I'll never not have a coach. Because when we went from, I never ever don't have a list of questions every 2 weeks when I coach, because it just gets bigger and a different set of questions. You have a different set of problems 7 and 8 years later, right? 2 of us sitting at home working, trying to get the nerve to hire my first buyer's agent and second buyer's agent, and then a listing partner. Those were much different coaching conversations than what we're having now with, okay, a sales manager, build barriers between you and the team. And just that I don't know that I'll never quit coaching because I'll never quit growing. So I just think we have much different conversations. We have to circle back to the basics sometimes.
Sometimes?
A lot of times we have to circle back to the basics, but it's a whole different coaching session now than it was 7, 8 years ago.
I think it'd be interesting. We have all these coaching calls recorded. I think we ought to, just for fun, go back to 2012 and listen to a couple of our calls and see if we're still answering the same questions the same way, or if we're answering them different today than we were in 2012. But we'd find some differences in the way that we approach the business.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that we also realize that we've both grown in this process together. I love coaching you because you push me out of my comfort zone and make me have to think about how to strategically not screw things up that are going so well. Because when you've built such a great team and you're asking real questions, if I don't give you, sound advice and I don't think it through, then we can mess things up. And, I constantly live in a place where I want to make sure that there's value in the relationship. And so I appreciate what you do for me as a coach, in that you push me to be better, and you make me want to rise to the level of the people that I'm working with. And that's a big challenge with you. Well,
thank you. Every coaching call we hang up, it's the same feeling from 8 years ago. We have a lot to do. So,
oh crap. It's the oh crap feeling.
Yes. So we're never done.
I see that on we had a coaching call yesterday. It was funny because as we were talking, and this is just part of who Christy is, I'm going through and I'm sharing ideas and telling her what I want to do. And I'm looking at her on a Zoom call just like this, and she's completely spaced out. And I'm like, Christy, what are you thinking about? Where's your head? And what was your answer?
I'm thinking about how to help you gain coaching clients during COVID, and I have a few contests that I think we should use. And I'm thinking about competitions that Workman needs to put in with their coaches to continue for us to be able to serve more people and let them buy what I have bought. And I say buy what I've bought, with just having work-life balance, not working evenings and weekends. And I hate that COVID would prevent us from helping more people.
I love that. So what she's saying is I'm giving her all this stuff to do, and she's not even thinking about what I'm saying. She's trying to figure out how to help my business. And that's just an interesting dynamic. And I actually told my wife, I said, Christy's coaching me during our coaching call today. And she loved that. And I just thought that was funny. We got you back on track. I saw you zoning out there.
You did get me back on contract, but I was way on. I had a whole contest built in my head.
Yeah, I think it's so fun. We have a little bit more time with Christy. If you have questions for Christy, please type them in the question box. I'd love to make sure that the things that are on your mind, the thorn that's in your shoe, the challenges you have with growing your business or your team, you have an opportunity to ask Christy, because Christy's a true giver. She'll share with you anything that will make a difference in your business and your team. And so, Christy, let's talk for just a minute about the focus you have right now. And so when you look at your things to do list, what are the top 3 things that you're focused on in your business?
So after our coaching call yesterday, what is listings? And that was our office meeting today, is new strategies for listings. And we came up with some more from even the coaching call yesterday. Some more ideas, and I guess it sounds terrible, but some ways that we can grow our business as a result from COVID, and we don't wish COVID on anyone. However, there's a lot of places that have lost a lot of people. So how to, like, we have a buyer, a for sale by owner packet to market for sale by owners, expired packets, and how to market, like a lot of us are senior real estate expert certified. So how to market maybe the homes of the deceased and people that have passed, and different ways that we can get these names and addresses, and just let them know that, we are experts in these areas and can do it with, as gracious hands as possible. And so doing different ways of marketing due to what we've gone through, and making sure that these people are in good hands. They've already been through enough. So it was, and also divorces, not just divorce attorneys. So anyway, we're on a big push for listings, but not just divorce attorneys, but we can see who in our county have filed for a divorce, and we can start cross-matching names and dropping off packages as well for being divorce experts, and helping them understand that their privacy. And so we talked a whole office meeting on how to increase listings. We're also focusing on transferring over to RealVolve. So we have a few top priorities, and then our ISAs. So where a lot of people buried their heads during COVID and during all of this, we hired 2 ISAs. That was a little complicated, but we hired 2 ISAs because people are home. They're answering their phones. When I'm usually telling people prospect evenings and weekends, now during COVID, they need to prospect all day long, and not just, do you want to buy or sell, but how are you doing? And, we have ways to help you still make your move, the dialogue, making sure everybody knows the correct dialogue, but still we could get a hold of more people during the day when they were stuck at home. So it wasn't time to hide. It was time to step up and work. So the ISAs are a priority, listings are a priority right now, and still trying to get transferred over to RealVolve. Those are some of our top priorities.
And so I'm going to go back and ask you questions in a couple of those, just because I can. One is when you talk about listings and you have a stronger focus on it. I love the list of ideas that you threw out there. Some people might think that might be insensitive to put yourself in a position because other people are having pain. And I want to just address that for a second, because what I believe is that we don't cause people to move. It's not because of us that they choose to buy a house or sell a house. It's because of the life events that occur. They get married, they get divorced, they have a death in the family, they have children move in, they have children move out, they lose a job, they have to get relocated. There's all these things that happen. And it's not Christy Buck's team that caused them to happen. But her job as someone who cares about the individual is to put herself in a position as an expert advisor, regardless of the life event that occurs that causes them to move. And so what she's talking about is, as you went through and you broke all that down, I think about the compassion you have for someone who's lost a loved one due to COVID-19. And we have a lot of coaches who have family members and clients, and like, nobody wishes that on anybody, but we certainly want to be there as a caring hand. Boy, if they don't use you, I'm afraid who they might get, right? I want to make sure they get someone that cares, that can provide the high level of care. And when divorces happen, it's, having someone who has the ability to empathize and to be able to help them as a neutral facilitator during a difficult time is critical. and you train your agents to be able to do that. So I like that you went off on that list, not looking for opportunities in pain, but looking for opportunities to serve, period. Yeah, I love that. And then, so what's your listing goal? So how many appointments do you need, and what are you building towards?
So we need 60 listings a month, active.
60 listing appointments.
Well, no, we need 60 listings a month.
Oh, you want it current active? Yeah.
No, we need to get 60 a month to meet our goal. So, I mean,
Love it.
we need to go on about 90. I mean, not that I don't think our conversion is that bad, but 90 is what we would like to see us going on, because we need 60 active, 60 that we take a month. So the challenge is on. You gave it to us yesterday, so we're, of course, on it.
I have no doubt that you're going to accomplish that. Great job with that. Let me, so Andrea Kern, a coaching client, she asked this question. She said, Christy, I feel like I'm always nagging my buyer's agents to keep up with their trackers, DSHs, their perfect week, things like that. What advice do you give them? Would you give her or anybody else that feels like they have to babysit their people, that can't get them to engage in it? How do you get them to do it? Do they just do it?
So now they just do it most of the time. Oh, I had to send my phone to Jordan, but I think I printed it out. So one thing I did during COVID, and I shared this on a coaching call, but I'll share it if we have time, that I did was, do you have, I would like to give all my buyer's agents a challenge. Who's interested? And instead of just, you have to, who's interested in a challenge? And some were. And every night, so I sent them this. Do I have a second to read it, Burl?
Sure.
Okay. I said, send this to me by 9:00 every night. Okay. And I'm challenging you at that moment to pay very close attention to what you did that day. And wherever there may be gaps, then you know what to focus on tomorrow, instead of waiting till your one-on-ones in 2 weeks, and then you're 2 weeks behind where the gaps are. So this is the text message that I've challenged several to send to me, and especially the ones that are struggling, every night. So this is a standard text, and they just have to fill in the blank. If you want email, however it is. Did you send out your 20 texts for the day? And I can explain that later. Have you touched your top 50 in Facebook? And they just put yes or no to all of these. Did you send out note cards or send out cards? If yes, how many? How many hours did you prospect today? What did you prospect? Did you work hot sheets in Boomtown? Did you work your hots daily with hot sheets and matrix? And that's all our own systems, but basically, did you work your hot clients? Did you work whatever lead week it is? Did you post on social media about any builder inventory? Did you get builder inventory and send it to your hots and nurtures? Did you update your top 50 spreadsheet and make sure you're touching all of them in 30 days? Did you do a live today on a listing, new or resale? Did you send out any seller's disclosures to people that were on our site, offering them more information? Did you prospect in Zillow? Did you prospect in VoicePad? Do you have any past to-dos? Have you reached out to any of your clients that were online in the last 24 hours, offering to show them in person or by virtual tour? And then, somebody just showed, yeah, so they were answering me. So all that is, they just copy and paste it and put yes, no, yes, no. Well, by Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, if they said no, no, no to send out cards or note cards, they know they only have Thursday, Friday. It just keeps them aware of where their gaps are, or ideas on where they could prospect, or what they need to be doing to maintain everything. So even when a bunch are no, but they were out showing all day, I still give them a heart at night. I heart it or check it and tell them, good job. Glad you got to show 8 homes today, because some might be all a no. the one guy that has been most consistent about doing this, he's done it every night since I challenged him, all of a sudden had 3 under contract.
It's amazing that the activities generate real results.
Mm-hmm. So to go back and answer your question, I know you feel like you're nagging them, so I try to get creative with other ways and then give huge shout outs to the one that's done this, like, good job, Josh, you've done this every single night, and you have 3 impending and you're working with 3 new buyers. Congratulations. Tell me how you got those in office meeting or huddle, right? Tell me how you got the 3 buyers you're working with. And then when he's referring it back to things that he did based on sending me this text at night, other agents start seeing it, right? So if y'all, can I talk about 7-figure ride along?
Sure.
So twice a year, Samantha and myself teach in our office for, is it 2.5 days now? 2.5 days. And we go through all of this 2.5 days of where we started, where we are now, and not talking about us, but how to help you implement and do the things, different challenges, different client events, different things to do. So we're still up in the air if we're going to do that this November because of COVID. But if any of this has helped you, we take a really, really deep dive into everything I've learned from Workman's Success in the last 7 years and take it just to a higher level, breaking it down and all of these things. When you, I guess, have the questions like, feel like you're micromanaging them, we'll help you with all that.
All I can say is it's like, I know there's a lot of people that feel this way. They'd love to be a fly on the wall and watch the energy and the dynamic and the huddles and the accountability that happens. And that's what happens in the 7-figure ride along, is it allows you to be a fly on the wall and see it in real time and experience it with the people that are I call them the stakeholders in your team. And so just pay attention to Facebook and make sure you're on our mailing list. We'll let you know when the next 7-figure ride along is. And Andrea says, thanks, Christy. She appreciates that. Great job. Anthony also reached out and said, great job, Christy. Always loves your input and things that you do. Deborah had a question for you, and this will be the last question, and then we'll ask for just final thoughts. And that is, are you still in production? Are you still active? I see your name on a few transactions.
You know, just recently, I think last year was maybe 1 or 2 transactions, but this year during COVID and everything, if people ask for me, I'm going out and doing it, and some past clients I've held on to. But maybe 5 a year, maybe this year I'll do 4 or 5. So not really a lot in production. I miss it. So at one time I came back to my coach, Burl, and said, I miss doing what I love, and which is being out in the field. And I'm not, enjoying all aspects of just managing. And he said, get back out there and do a few. And then I realized real quick, I don't want to work all evening and all night again. So I came back to I don't do that many. I enjoy
you miss the interaction with the people. And as you're training your agents, you get it again. So you still do it. You just do it differently.
Yeah.
So are you in production? The answer is absolutely. So Christy, final thoughts. What advice would you give just to anybody listening right now on how to live their life at a higher level? Not specific to real estate, but just how to enjoy life. What advice would you give someone to be able to live a happy life?
Oh, so I guess when I just think that, I think what makes me happy is just my boys. So I think creating a life that allows you more time with your family and the things that you love. And for me, it was very hard to let go of this real estate baby. But at the end of the day, what makes me the happiest is my boys, and this and the growth and coaching and delegating has allowed me so much more time in the evenings and the weekends. Even though they're grown, they weren't 8 years ago. And even though they're grown, I still go see them a lot. So it's just, do what you love, and don't stay so in control of real estate that you don't do what you love.
I think that's great advice. And I I can't add anything to that. Do what you love. You don't have to get out of real estate. You have to help other people be successful with it. As you do that, you get everything you want. Christy, thanks for being such a giver, and thanks for being such an amazing part of the Workman family. We love having you, and thanks for being just willing to share all your thoughts with everybody. Let's give everybody give Christy a thumbs up and a love, and thank her for being here. And we'll see you on our next Facebook Live, everybody.
Bye.